Hello everyone, I'm Chris, and this is a full recap of The Meg, released in 2018. If you end up enjoying this video and want to see more from us, then make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to know anytime we upload a new video. Ever since the release of Hollywood's first summer blockbuster, Jaws, back in 1975, there have been a whole bunch of shark movies looking to recreate the magic that film had to varying levels of success. But if we're talking purely about box office success, there's been no other shark movie to do it better than The Meg. Loosely based on the 1997 Steve Alten novel titled Meg, A Novel of Deep Terror, and released in 2018, which actually managed to bring in about $50 million more worldwide than Jaws, as it made $145 million domestically, $384 million internationally, and $530 million worldwide, which also made it the 15th highest grossing film of 2018. With that level of success, it makes sense that they'd want to make a sequel, so on August 4th, Meg 2: The Trench will be releasing in theaters. But before the new film's release, we've decided to take a look back at the 2018 installment, which you should go check out if you haven't already, as it'll be linked in the description so you can enjoy it for yourself. But if you have seen it and are just looking for a quick refresher, then you've come to the right place. The movie opens on a deep-sea rescue mission in the Philippine Trench, as professional divers D'Angelo, Marks, and Jonas Taylor attempt to save a team trapped inside a sunken nuclear submarine. They manage to find and bring 10 survivors back to their rescue vehicle. But although Jonas manages to return to the vehicle as well, D'Angelo and Marks end up trapped in the sonar room after an unseen creature begins crushing the sub, so Jonas prepares to go back for them, but ultimately decides against it, having realized that doing so would mean certain death for all of them. So he instead escapes with the others just moments before the sub is destroyed by the unseen force. Jumping ahead to 5 years later now, and to Shanghai, China, as billionaire Jack Morris arrives at the Mana 1 research station, which he finances, and is met by Dr. Midway Zhang, the head of the Zhang Oceanic Laboratory on the Mana 1 platform. Morris is then also introduced to Zhang's daughter, Su Yin, their chief marine biologist, and her daughter, Mei Ying, as well as the rest of their employees, including their engineer and sub-designer Jax, their medical officer Dr. Heller, their remote explorer pilot DJ, their station chief Mac, and their 3 submariners, mission pilot Lori Taylor, and co-pilots Toshi and The Wall, who Morris is actually introduced to via video call from their submarine, the Origin, as they're currently conducting an experiment near the ocean floor based on Zhang's theory that what they believe to be the bottom of the Mariana Trench is actually a layer of hydrogen sulfide, and that beneath that cloud and a freezing cold thermocline, there could be a completely new world. And soon, this theory is actually proven true, as they travel through the cloud and find previously undiscovered life forms living beneath it. But their celebration of this discovery is unfortunately interrupted just as quickly when an unseen force attacks and severely damages the submarine, causing it to lose contact with Mana 1 and trapping the trio at a depth of 11,000 meters. So Zhang and his team rush to force a plan for their rescue, and decide that their best course will be to bring in Jonas Taylor, which Dr. Heller isn't too happy about, as he was actually amongst those Jonas saved 5 years ago. But rather than being grateful for his help, Heller scolded him for not going back for the others, and later diagnosed him with pressure-induced psychosis. Upon Zhang and Mac tracking Jonas down in Thailand, he at first claims to be uninterested in ever diving again, but after they reveal his ex-wife Lori and her crew's current predicament as a result of them having been attacked by what they believe to be the same creature he'd encountered 5 years ago, he agrees to help. Back at Mana 1 though, the crew has received an alert that the Origin had once again been hit, so Su Yin, not wanting to waste any more time, decides to head down there to save them herself, just moments before Jonas arrives at the base. But her attempt is quickly thwarted once she passes through the cloud, as her sub is wrapped up and begins to be crushed by a giant squid, which ultimately fails to kill her though, as it's suddenly eaten and killed by the creature that had attacked the Origin earlier, known as a megalodon, believed to have been extinct for over 2 million years. Jonas then passes through the cloud as well, and orders Su Yin to head back to the surface, as she'll be no help with the damaged ship, and so she does while he distracts the giant shark by launching a series of flares, which also allows him to try and save the crew. He's only able to get Lori out by the time it begins circling back though, so Toshi, realizing one of them's not going to be able to make it, helps push the wall onto Jonas's rescue vehicle before closing the hatch and detaching their ship from his so they can escape as the megalodon destroys him and his sub. Once back up to the surface, the group, having lost one of their friends, decides they should take things slowly as they move forward with their discovery. But that idea doesn't sit well with Morris, who believes they've got to move quickly if they want to prevent someone else from taking a piece of this. And they're ultimately forced to move quickly anyway, upon learning that the Megalodon had actually managed to pass through the freezing cold cloud following their exit, and after the cloud's temperature was increased by 25 degrees as a result of the Meg slamming into a thermal vent when it destroyed the Origin. And it doesn't take long before they once again encounter the creature, as it appears outside the station and attempts to bite into it, fortunately failing to penetrate the base. So it then decides to turn its attention elsewhere, onto 3 nearby boats out in the ocean. So the crew rushes over to hopefully kill it before it can cause any more damage, which they plan on doing by lowering one of them down in a shark cage, so they can fire a spear gun at a soft spot on the Meg to poison it. The shark cage will take a bit to set up though, so to prevent them from losing track of the creature, Jonas heads into the water and shoots a tracking dart onto its dorsal fin. But as they're reeling him back towards the boat, the vibration turns the shark's attention onto him and he nearly gets eaten, but he just narrowly manages to avoid it as he leaps back onto the ship. They then move ahead with their plan to kill it, having finished rigging the shark cage, which Su-Yin has accepted the task of entering, as she's done hundreds of shark dives before, and she eventually does successfully manage to fire a spear into its mouth, although only after being trapped inside it, as the Meg attempts to swallow the cage whole after it fails to break, but it ultimately fails to do so after the cage is yanked out of its mouth due to it still being connected to the boat. Su-Yin now faces a problem though, as the attack had broken her mask, causing her to rapidly lose air and for her to fall unconscious. But fortunately, her death is prevented by Jonas, who manages to swim down, grab her, and bring her back onto the boat, where they successfully manage to resuscitate her, while the Meg ultimately succumbs to the poison and is successfully killed. And not only did they manage to kill it, but they've also managed to collect its body and rig it up onto the ship, prompting a moment of celebration before suddenly another Megalodon comes soaring out of the water, resembling the boat attack in Jaws, and chomps into the dead Meg, swallowing the wall in the process, which results in the entire boat being turned upside down and everyone on it being sent flying into the water, before the new Meg then circles back to unleash another attack, which fortunately only results in one death, that being Dr. Hellers, who draws the shark's attention towards him in order to save Jax. The boat attack has left Dr. Zhang fatally wounded though, and although Morris has called for a rescue helicopter, they don't arrive soon enough to help him, and Zhang, after saying his goodbyes to his daughter, passes away. Now having lost 4 members of their crew to the Meg, Morris announces to the team that he's informed the Chinese government of the creature, and that they're sending 2 destroyers to take it out. Although this is quickly revealed to be a lie following his exit on a helicopter, as we see actually plans on taking the creature out himself using Semtech's high-velocity demolition charges in hopes of avoiding any more casualties, and in turn, any potential lawsuits. And it appears him and his team's attempt to kill it is actually successful at first, but they soon realize that the creature they'd killed wasn't the Meg, but a giant whale, so Morris orders them to get them out of there. But as they drive off, he ends up falling off the boat, ultimately resulting in his death when the Meg arrives and takes a giant bite out of him and the whale. The following morning, the rest of the crew learns that Morris had lied to them, so they're once again forced to be the ones to try to take out the creature, which they see has begun making its way towards a beach in Sanya Bay, that it quickly unleashes an attack on, in another reference to Jaws. Only a few civilians at said beach end up getting killed by the creature though, before its attention is turned away by some whale noises being played by the crew, who've sent Jonas and Su-Yin into the water to try and take the shark out with torpedoes. But although Su-Yin manages to land a shot on the creature, Jonas's sub fails to fire, having taken too much damage as the Meg was chasing after him, so he instead has to improvise and manages to wound the creature using the damaged end of his ship, prompting the Meg to retaliate with an attack of its own that crushes his ship and forces him to swim out of it. But as he escapes the vehicle, he manages to grab a harpoon, which he then shoves straight into the Meg's eye to finally put it down for good. Their last battle with the Meg had also resulted in severe damage to their boat, so they're forced to hop on a nearby wedding boat that the Meg had nearly attacked earlier, resulting in those on it losing their dog Pippin, a nod to the dog Pippet from Jaws, in the water. But Pippin fortunately arrives shortly after the crew, who celebrate their victory against the Megalodon on board, with Jonas, Su-Yin, and Mei Ying in particular discussing going on a vacation together, before the movie ends as the group travels back to shore. And that was our recap of the Meg. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And also, let us know in the comments below your opinion of the film, and what your personal rating for it would be. Once again though, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.